How did two brothers returning from the rubble of World War II build a grocery store so powerful it now threatens Walmart on its own turf? From a single bomb-scarred shop in Germany to 12,000 stores worldwide and America's fastest-growing supermarket chain, this is the story of Aldi. It's a story of thrift, grit, a shocking kidnapping, and a business model so simple it forced giants like Walmart and Kroger to play catch-up. Subscribe to Founders and Fortunes and join us as we uncover the business stories that changed the world.
In 1945, World War II left Germany in ruins. Two brothers, Karl, 25, and Theo, 23, returned home to Essen in 1946 after surviving the war. Karl wounded on the Eastern Front, and Theo captured in North Africa. They found their city devastated by Allied bombing, yet against all odds, their mother's small grocery store was still standing. This little shop, opened by their mother Anna back in 1913, had endured when almost nothing else did. Realizing they'd been given a rare second chance, the brothers seized the opportunity to rebuild their lives and business from that intact storefront. Karl and Theo took over Anna Albrecht's grocery in 1946 and rebuilt it with a wartime mentality: less is more. With Germany's economy shattered, people had to stretch every penny. The Albrechts understood that firsthand. As kids, they had helped in the family store and lived through years of poverty and rationing. They knew customers in post-war Germany could afford only the essentials, so they stocked only basic, non-perishable foods like bread, flour, coffee, sugar, and canned goods. Unlike traditional grocers, they didn't offer dozens of brands for each item, just one or two top-selling options in each category. This simplicity wasn't just philosophy, it was necessity. With very little starting capital, they couldn't buy every product, so they focused on the staples everyone needed. This ultra-frugal model quickly became a strength. By concentrating orders on a few products, the brothers could buy in bulk directly from suppliers at rock-bottom prices. They eliminated all frills. Merchandise was kept in the shipping boxes or on wooden pallets rather than neatly arranged on fancy shelves. The store had no elaborate decor, essentially a bare-bones warehouse for food. They didn't even advertise. As Karl and Theo insisted, our low prices will be our advertisement. Sure enough, word of mouth from satisfied, saving-savvy customers drove business. Every expense that didn't directly benefit shoppers was cut. Even early on, the Albrechts refused to hire extra staff for tasks customers could do themselves. For example, adopting a self-service model by the early 1950s, long before other German grocers did. Shoppers grabbed items off the pile and brought them to the cashier instead of being served at a counter, a radical concept in Germany at the time. All these measures saved money, allowing the brothers to undersell competitors while still turning a profit. And profit they did. The single-family store soon grew into a small chain. Within a few years, they had dozens of locations. By about 1950, they operated 13 stores around the Ruhr Valley region of West Germany. The concept of no-frills, hard-discount grocery retail was born. Customers loved the low prices and no-nonsense experience, and the Albrecht brothers methodically expanded. They opened Germany's first self-service grocery in 1954, staying ahead of retail trends. By that same year, they already ran 77 stores across West Germany. The business was booming, but Karl and Theo still kept it simple. Limited products, high turnover, and absolute minimal overhead. Little did they know, their thriftiness would soon be tested by success. Through the 1950s, the Aldi grocery chain expanded at a blistering pace. They had tapped into a winning formula for post-war Germany's austere consumers. By 1960, the brothers were operating about 300 stores throughout the country, an almost unbelievable expansion from a single shop in just 15 years. Annual sales reached millions of marks, and their stores had become synonymous with quality goods at the lowest prices, the company's unofficial motto. Yet the operation was still remarkably lean and efficient. Stores carried a fraction of the products of a normal supermarket, which meant faster inventory turnover and less waste. They deliberately avoided perishables like produce, meat, or dairy in those early years to eliminate refrigeration costs and spoilage. By selling only stable shelf items that moved quickly, they didn't need fancy storage or big staff to manage fresh goods. In fact, anything that didn't sell well was immediately dropped from the assortment, an early use of sales data to optimize inventory. In 1951, as the business solidified, the brothers officially named their enterprise Aldi, short for Albrecht Discount. That name would soon become famous far beyond Germany. At the dawn of the 1960s, Aldi was the leading example of a new kind of retailer, the discount supermarket, defined by no-frills stores, limited products, and rock-bottom prices. But just as Aldi was poised for even greater success, an internal rift between the brothers threatened to upend everything they had built. Success often brings new challenges, and for the Albrechts, the breaking point was a surprisingly small item: cigarettes. In 1960, as Aldi dominated West Germany grocery retail, Karl and Theo faced a strategic decision. Should their stores sell tobacco products? Theo saw cigarettes as a high-demand, high-margin item that could attract more customers and boost profits. Karl firmly opposed it, worried that selling cigarettes might tarnish their store's family-friendly image and possibly encourage shoplifting, since at the time Aldi stores had no security staff or cameras. The disagreement escalated beyond a simple product choice. Both brothers were notoriously stubborn. Weeks of arguing turned into a stalemate. Advisors tried to mediate, but neither Karl nor Theo would budge. Finally, in 1961-62, they reached a dramatic resolution: split the company in two. The brothers literally divided territory by drawing a line across a map of Germany, a division that German newspapers nicknamed the Aldi Equator. Theo would control the north, his company became Aldi Nord, and Karl took the south, creating Aldi South. The northern Aldi stores would sell cigarettes, the southern stores would not. In 1962, the name Aldi was adopted for both chains, and by 1966, the split was made official. The two halves were legally and financially separate entities. Despite the split, the brothers remained friendly, if distant, and even cooperated quietly when it benefited them. For example, Aldi Nord and Aldi South still coordinated on major supplier negotiations to leverage their combined scale in getting the lowest possible prices from big manufacturers. Outsiders wondered if the cigarette issue was just an excuse for the split, since Karl and Theo had quite different personalities and leadership styles. Theo was viewed as more adventurous and expansion-oriented, while Karl was methodical and cautious. Whatever the deeper reason, the decision to split proved savvy. Instead of one Aldi, the world now had two, double the entrepreneurial energy focused on growth. Over the next decades, Karl and Theo would separately build parallel retail empires, each following the same basic Aldi formula, but never competing with each other geographically. Dividing the company did nothing to slow down Aldi's growth. If anything, it accelerated it. Both Aldi Süd and Aldi Nord raced to expand their reach. In 1967, Aldi Süd ventured beyond Germany's borders by acquiring an Austrian grocery chain, Hofer, planting the seed of what would become Aldi's international presence. Aldi Nord answered by opening stores in the Netherlands and Belgium in the early 1970s. Each brother essentially had his own half of Europe to conquer. They also eyed the lucrative U.S. market. In 1976, Aldi Süd opened the first American Aldi store in Iowa City, Iowa. It was a modest store, initially no fresh foods, just like early Aldi in Germany, and even closed after a year, but it laid the groundwork for a much larger U.S. expansion in the decades to come. Meanwhile, Aldi Nord made a shrewd move in 1979 by purchasing a quirky California-based grocer called Trader Joe's, giving Theo's side of the empire a foothold in the United States under a completely different brand. By the late 1970s, the Albrecht brothers were among the richest businessmen in Germany, yet very few people knew anything about them. From early on, Karl and Theo avoided publicity. They never did flashy marketing or press interviews, letting Aldi's prices speak for themselves. As wealth poured in, the brothers remained exceedingly modest in lifestyle. Theo, for example, became famous for wearing inexpensive, ill-fitting suits and using pencils down to the stub because they were cheaper than pens. Karl was equally frugal and private. They intentionally kept their personal lives out of the spotlight and taught their families to do the same. This low-profile approach was partly personal preference, but it soon became a matter of safety because in 1971, the Aldi empire's quiet existence was shattered by a terrifying event that proved just how dangerous fame can be. On November 29, 1971, Theo Albrecht, then one of the richest men in Germany, walked out of his Aldi Nord headquarters in Essen and into a nightmare. He was grabbed at gunpoint by two kidnappers and shoved into a car. The abductors, a disgraced lawyer named Heinz Joachim Ohlenberg and an accomplice, Paul Kron, hid Theo in a closet in a Dusseldorf apartment. For 17 days, Theo was held in captivity, not knowing if he'd live or die. The kidnappers demanded a ransom of 7 million Deutschmarks, around $2 million at the time, equivalent to over $20 million today. Even in this life-or-death situation, the ever-thrifty Theo tried to haggle. He reportedly negotiated with his captors to lower the ransom amount while still locked in that dark closet. In the end, the Albrecht family agreed to pay the full 7 million Deutschmarks. Theo's brother Karl put up half of the money to help free him. The ransom was delivered via an intermediary, the Bishop of Essen, Franz Hengsbach, to ensure a smooth handover. Theo was released unharmed on December 16, 1971. The kidnappers, however, did not get to enjoy their payout for long. German police had recorded the ransom calls and broadcast the voices on the radio. A tip from a listener led to Ohlenberg and Kron's arrest shortly after Theo was freed. About half the ransom money was recovered by authorities, the rest vanished, presumably stashed by the criminals and never found. True to form, Theo later tried to claim the lost ransom as a tax-deductible business expense, arguing that the kidnapping was occupational. The tax office rejected that idea. The ordeal deeply affected both brothers. Already media-shy, they disappeared entirely from public view after 1971. Theo and Karl tightened security around themselves and their families to an extreme degree. They installed fortifications at their homes, rode in armored cars, and varied their daily routes to shake any followers. From that point on, no photographs of the Albrecht brothers were released to the press for decades. The last known photo of Theo was taken the day after his kidnapping, and another of the two brothers together surfaced only in 1987. Forbes later described the Albrechts as more reclusive than the Yeti, and it wasn't far from the truth. They had become billionaire ghosts, quietly running a vast retail empire from behind thick veils of privacy. Ironically, this guarded and no-nonsense approach only reinforced Aldi's business philosophy. Just as the Albrechts' personal lives were stripped of any extravagance, their stores continued to run with the same austere, penny-pinching discipline as always. Theo would literally turn off lights in Aldi offices if he thought they were wasting electricity. He once examined blueprints for a new store and scolded that the paper was too thick. "Use thinner paper and we'll save money," he said. Both brothers insisted that every expense must justify itself. This cultural DNA permeated Aldi from top to bottom and became the secret of its longevity. By the 1980s, the Aldi model of discount retail had proven wildly successful far beyond Germany. Aldi Süd, Karl's half, and Aldi Nord, Theo's half, each expanded into multiple countries across Europe, and Aldi Süd's push in the United States began to gain traction in the 1990s and 2000s. The two companies never reunited, but together they blanketed the globe with Aldi's unmistakable small box stores. Today, Aldi operates in over 20 countries, from Europe to North America, Asia, and Australia, with a combined 12,000-plus stores worldwide. For decades, the Albrecht brothers' business thrived in near silence. It had no public stock listing, rarely issued press releases, and cared nothing for corporate glamour. Profitability and growth, however, were spectacular. Karl retired in 1995 at age 75, and Theo had stepped back a bit earlier in 1993, handing day-to-day operations to trusted executives. The brothers remained advisors behind the scenes while ensuring their ownership stayed within foundations to maintain Aldi's private, long-term orientation. By 2010, at age 88, Theo Albrecht passed away with an estimated fortune of $16 to $17 billion. 4 years later, in 2014, Karl died at 94, as the richest man in Germany, worth about $25 to $26 billion. Despite this immense wealth, both men had lived quietly and humbly to the end, a far cry from the flashy lifestyle one might expect of retail tycoons. Their legacy, however, is nothing but quiet. In their home country, Aldi is Germany and Germany is Aldi. As Der Spiegel memorably wrote, the nation's post-war identity of order, efficiency, and thrift is embodied by these stores. In the UK, Aldi Feud stores have revolutionized the grocery sector, forcing entrenched chains to rethink prices. In the US, Aldi has grown into a powerhouse that even Walmart watches nervously. As of 2025, Aldi is the fastest-growing supermarket chain in America, a title it's held for 5 straight years. With over 2,400 stores in the U.S. and 3,200 expected by 2028, Aldi has become the third-largest grocery retailer in the U.S. by store count, trailing only Walmart and Kroger. The company is investing heavily, over $9 billion in a 5-year plan to add 800 more U.S. stores by 2028, even acquiring regional chains like Winn-Dixie to speed its expansion. All of this is financed internally. Aldi carries practically no debt and shrugs at the idea of going public. By avoiding the stock market, the Albrechts ensured the company could reinvest profits and pursue long-range strategies without pressure from short-term investors.
At its heart, Aldi's business model has changed very little from the post-war days. It's all about efficiency, simplicity, and passing savings to customers. Limited product range. An Aldi store typically carries only about 1,400 items, a tiny fraction of the 30,000 to 50,000 products in a big conventional supermarket. By offering just 1 or 2 of the most popular choices in each category and almost no excess variety, Aldi streamlines its supply chain and can buy in huge volume to get low prices. Remarkably, about 90% of these items are Aldi's own private label brands, designed to match or exceed the quality of national brands without the marketing costs. Shoppers aren't overwhelmed by endless options, and Aldi isn't tying up money in slow-selling inventory. No-frills stores. Aldi stores are small, often 12,000 square feet or less, and designed for efficiency. There's no elaborate decor, products are often sold directly out of their shipping cartons on the shelf, and surplus stock is stacked on pallets in the aisles. Shelves are stocked to be functional, not beautiful. Many locations don't even pipe in background music. Why pay music licensing fees? Every Aldi looks similar, which reduces design costs. The focus is on a quick in-and-out shopping experience. Lean staffing and customer participation. A typical Aldi has a fraction of the employees of a comparably sized supermarket, often 15 to 20 staff total. How? The Aldi system cleverly makes the customer do some of the work. Shoppers rent carts for a quarter, deposit refunded on return, which means no paid cart wranglers in the parking lot. Customers bag their own groceries at a counter beyond the checkout, so cashiers don't waste time bagging, and Aldi doesn't have to give out free bags. By expecting customers to return carts and bring their own bags, or buy reusable ones, Aldi saves on labor and materials, and most shoppers don't mind because it means lower prices. Lightning-fast checkout. Aldi's checkout lines are famously fast. One reason is custom packaging. Aldi products have extra-large barcodes or multiple barcodes, so that cashiers can scan items in a split second without searching the label. Cashiers are also trained to be speedy and are often timed on their throughput. They sit on stools, saving their energy and health for speed and accuracy, and can scan items far faster than the industry average. The result is shorter lines and less need for many open registers. Quality meets bargain prices. All these private labels aren't generic junk. They're top-quality products often produced by the same factories that make name brands just without the branding costs. Independent price checks regularly find Aldi significantly cheaper than competitors. For example, one analysis found an Aldi basket of groceries was over 15% cheaper than Walmart's and far cheaper than traditional supermarkets. This quality-for-less proposition wins fiercely loyal customers. Some fans even sport Aldi-branded merch like tote bags and t-shirts to declare their allegiance. Disciplined cost control. From energy-saving LED lighting to recycled cardboard displays, Aldi pinches pennies in operations so customers don't have to. They use simple tricks:
Produce often comes pre-packaged, for example bags of apples instead of loose, to reduce handling and checkout time. Store hours may be shorter than 24-hour chains, saving labor. New store locations are scouted for affordability and traffic patterns rather than prime upscale visibility. This obsession with efficiency traces directly back to Carl and Dio's ethos. Don't spend money on anything unnecessary. That even extended to corporate culture. Aldi historically had no fancy headquarters or big executive perks. As Theo demonstrated, if a pencil still has lead, you keep writing with it. Private ownership and long-term vision. Unlike many competitors, Aldi remains a family-owned private company. This means it doesn't answer the Wall Street or shareholders hungry for short-term results. The Aldi family, through foundations, reinvests profits to grow the business steadily and sustainably. They are willing to enter new markets with slim margins or endure economic downturns without slashing staff or quality, confident that keeping prices low will win in the long run. This patience has allowed Aldi to thrive in recessions. When shoppers' budgets are squeezed, they flock to discounters like Aldi. In fact, during recent inflation surges, Aldi saw a surge of new customers looking to save on groceries. Hard times that hurt other retailers often boost Aldi's sales, just as it happened in the company's post-war beginnings. This combination of factors forms a moat that competitors struggle to cross. Retail giants like Walmart, Kroger, and Tesco have all had to adjust to the Aldi effect, lowering their prices, simplifying their stores, or launching their own discount brands to compete. Few have managed to replicate Aldi's exact formula because it's ingrained in a culture that values thrift over flair at every level. Aldi doesn't chase trends or fads. It sticks to what works. As Aldi South CEO Jason Hart recently said, in an environment of rising prices, the value Aldi delivers can't be beat. As Aldi continues its disciplined march forward, the U.S. market finds itself witness to one of the most aggressive and strategically savvy expansion campaigns in modern retail history. Aldi is in the midst of an unprecedented growth spree in the U.S. This year alone, the chain plans to open 225 new stores, marking its most ambitious annual rollout since entering the American market nearly 5 decades ago. The goal? To reach a staggering 800 total new locations by 2028. These new stores reflect both brand new openings and conversions of acquired grocery chains like Winn-Dixie and Harvey's. About 220 transformations are on the slate through 2027. With over 2,400 stores already open across 38 to 39 states, Aldi now stands as the third largest supermarket chain in the U.S. by store count, trailing only Walmart and Kroger. This growth isn't just in numbers, it's in strategy. Aldi's goal is clear: become America's go-to grocery destination. With its value-driven model, it is confronting established giants like Walmart head-on. Their low-price, private-label-heavy approach is reshaping consumer expectations, forcing Walmart to rethink pricing strategies and store formats. Among shoppers, all these savings are tangible. Families can stretch their budgets by nearly 36%, translating into almost $4,000 saved annually for a family of 4 when compared to competitors. Beyond store counts, Aldi's expansion is measured in square feet, and it's booming. In 2024, the chain added 105 new locations, bringing over 2.3 million square feet of retail space into its network, the most of any grocer for the second year in a row. From a humble German storefront that survived World War II, Karl and Theo Albrecht built one of the world's largest retail chains. They did it not with splashy advertising or luxurious stores, but with unshakable discipline, efficiency, and a keen sense of what customers need. Their lives were as unadorned as their business, private, frugal, focused. And yet, by the time of their passing, the Albrecht brothers had transformed shopping habits across the globe. They proved that you don't have to shout to be heard in business. Quiet execution of a smart strategy can be more powerful than any hype. Today, Aldi Nord and Aldi Süd, though separate, together generate over $100 billion in annual sales and continue to grow rapidly. In the United States, Aldi's opening stores at a record pace despite economic uncertainties. In Europe and beyond, Aldi has become synonymous with trustworthy value, a place where ordinary people know they can afford life's essentials without sacrificing quality. It's a business empire literally born from the ashes of war, guided by the principle that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The trials Karl and Theo faced, childhood poverty, a world war, a family feud, even a kidnapping, would have broken many. Instead, each challenge only hardened their resolve.
They kept their eyes on efficiency and value and turned adversity into an advantage. The Aldi story is a masterclass in resilience and relentless focus. As you walk into an Aldi today, whether in Munich, London, or Chicago, remember that every quirk of that experience has a purpose. The quarter you deposit for a cart, the lone choice of peanut butter on the shelf, the no-name brand spaghetti sauce that tastes just as good as a pricey label. All of it traces back to two brothers determined to do more with less. In an age of sprawling supermarkets and corporate giants, Aldi shows that simplicity and thrift can not only survive, but triumph. And that might be the most exciting lesson for any aspiring entrepreneur. Success isn't always about doing more. Sometimes it's about doing less, exceptionally well.